least relive it. I'm not mentally ready to relive yet another loss. And at the end of that episode, we were already talking about Border Gavaskar and stuff. And DJ, I think at one point was like, man, have you thought about what happens if we don't win the third test? Because even being 2-0 down, we went to the Wankhede thinking Team India will win this third test. Varun, did you imagine in your wildest dreams 0-3 to a New Zealand team who had just lost in Sri Lanka in India?
No, I was shocked. I was pretty shocked last Saturday when things went down, and then Rohit came out and said, we're allowed to lose at home, but we've won 12 years in a row, so we're allowed to lose. And I was shocked with that, but I just thought Bombay, they're going to come back, win it. And the beauty about the World Test Championship is you kind of forget about series, right? Because where it's at is you're 7 months away, and you're like, India needs 4 wins to make it, to not be dependent on other results. We've got one in Mumbai, we'll get three in Australia, at least a crack at having three. And then this happens, and it almost feels like, we haven't played out the scenarios and done the math yet, but it almost feels like a month ago, India and Australia were in the final of this World Test Championship. Today, it feels like only one of them is going to be a part of that final. And for me personally, just the way India has played in the last month has just been terrible. So I have very little hope and faith in the Australia series now. But yeah, we'll get into it.
DJ, if the glass is half full or every cloud has a silver lining or however you want to say it, this means we have our best chance at not losing a WTC final.
Yeah, I suppose so. If you're not part of it.
Can't lose if you don't play.
Ooh,
Anyway,
yeah, that was hard. It took me a moment to register.
I figured
I've
you'd
just been in
enjoy that
shock
one.
for the last 2 weeks.
I know. I wish we could have captured the energy you brought to the like 30 seconds before you hit that record button because it's been a tough week in while celebrating the Valley to have to come straight off of the highs of that and watch this team. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's been a tough week. We've lost uh, 0-3. And I know Varun, you predicted 3-0, but I'm pretty sure that was in favor of India and not in favor of New Zealand at the start of this test series. And of course, Rishabh Pant hasn't been retained by the Delhi Capitals. I'm not really sure I want to talk about IPL retentions. We will eventually, but it's all been a strange week. There's a lot of chat before this test about India's preparations to play the spinners at Mumbai. Another 3-day test match. Yes, we lost. We lost by 25 runs, but really, I mean, if we had somehow managed to pull out yet another miracle, which we did regularly with Akshar and Ashwin and Jadeja coming down the order, remember, if we had managed to score those final 25 runs, I don't think the underlying issues, which now have become clear to a lot of Indian fans, which probably weren't clear to a lot of Indian fans, including us before this series. Um, yeah, that we need to ask those questions, which everybody is asking. The question around Rohit, Kohli, Ashwin, Jadeja, Border Gavaskar World Test Championship final. It's going to be a tough week for Indian cricket fans, and it's going to be a tough lead into the BGT because you'd expect to have gone into it on a high. The whole chat, as you said, was cement your spot in the World Test Championship final and have a bit of fun in Australia, try and get your third Test series win in a row. But Ashwin, and I remember I'd mentioned that 2011 was a pretty tough year for Indian cricket, and of course you mocked me for it. But we won a World Cup in 2011. We lost the Test series in England and Australia 8-0 that year. And now we won a World Cup in 2024, and we've lost a home Test series for the first time ever. A Test series more than two um, Test matches. We've been swept. We've been clean swept by an unfancied Kane Williamson less team. Like I don't know. What did we know about Will Young before this Test series? Daryl Mitchell we knew him as a T20 Chennai Super King player, man. Like this is not an expected result for a team of India's stature. It's a shocking result.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you
and
mentioned Will Young,
and
etc. Go ahead, Varun.
Daryl Mitchell said, if you all saw it at the post match, he said, "We're just a bunch of Kiwis looking to take on the world," right? And that sums up kind of what DJ is saying. This it's a handful of people who play this sport in New Zealand, but they have kind of created havoc in the last 10 years in cricket, and this feels to be like the cherry on the cake.
Yeah, they've especially wreaked havoc on Indian cricket, you can argue, right? I mean, in general, but especially it feels like Indian cricket has
2019
borne,
World Cup semi, right? Yeah.
it just especially
Shit.
feels like Indian cricket has borne the brunt. Varun, let me quickly ask you before we get kind of into the depths of the match, etc. Or yeah, this third match, the World Test Championship added that extra context, right? We've said, but cricket being such a fickle kind of momentum driven sport, we went from saying, like DJ said, 3-0 ideally against New Zealand and then going to Australia with some buffer. We're now sitting here saying 4-0 is at least the minimum you need to win against Australia, which is a pipe dream. Like, let's call a spade a spade. And 5-0 cements your spot. You could have a situation where India beats Australia 4-1 and still doesn't make the World Test Championship final. So the added context has helped. Do you think, Farhan, there was a layer of added kind of pressure that came with that in a series where normally bilateral, three tests at home, we should have at least, I mean, we should have at least won one of the three. But so do you think the World Test Championship added that extra pressure?
I don't think so. Not in an India test. I think when you went into the series, I mean, all of us were saying 3-0. We had messages from everyone to kind of telling us that so these three Indias won. Now what do they need to do? And so I think it was more overconfidence than pressure. I think the third game as well, like there is just no business for India to have lost 3-0. So I still don't think there's the pressure of the Test Championship that drove this. I just think it created a lot of bigger issues. And you know we should all be reading about these kind of numbers and stats, but if you think about it, India's top four have not done anything for 4 years. It has been a disaster. It is only at the Rishabh Pant 5, Jaddu and Ashwin 6 7 kind of level that they have saved us time and again, and Akshar, like TJ said. So the top four for a long time has been a problem.
Yeah, actually, and since you mentioned that, do you think there's an element? This sounds such a negative thing to say. So, Varun, I want to ask you because DJ and I chatted this a little last week. But do you think there's an element of that 5, 6, 7, 8 have been protecting us? Bumrah bowling, Ollie Pope has been like all of these moments have saved us or delivered miracles, and it didn't today. But do you think there's an element of the fact that had Rishabh not been given out, and we'll talk about this match at the 1K day, but had he got them across the finish line, it would have masked a little bit of how bad. I mean, we was even if Rishabh won this match for us, we were 29 for 5 on a day 3 pitch in the 1K. We have no business doing that. Do you think it's the short term pain we're all feeling today is probably for the medium long term best that it has forced us to reckon with these questions as a test side?
I think so, because I do think that change doesn't happen overnight, right? Especially not with these kind of stalwart names. So I think what's going to happen is that very realistically, we are not going to win four tests in Australia, right?
I'd be
So
happy to win one at this
very
point.
realistically, we've never done that.
I
So
I
what
think
it
that's
comes,
the understatement of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think
yeah,
the odds, if I can bet
Talk
somehow
about
on the
managing expectations. Varun's just like corporatize that whole like
somebody said,
BGT.
by the way, I think I saw it somewhere. If you had bet in New Zealand to beat India 3-0 in India, if you had bet $100 or something, you would have been a multi-millionaire before the start
Yeah,
of
I
the
mean,
season.
it must have been over like 90 to 1 odds, I'm
At this
guessing. Again, we
point,
don't want to like encourage betting on this podcast because that's not
yeah.
what we do.
But at this point, I think, Varun, to your statement, if we had to bet the line on India will not win four tests in Australia, I think if I bet $100, I may get 101 back.
yeah, exactly. That, but so what I'm saying is that
Or
with that,
99, actually.
with that out of the picture, I think you go and you play this and you try to create your legacy to say we've drawn it or we've won it three times in a row, and you leave it at that and you slowly start rebuilding the team because the Australia series is done. But come January next year, I think they're going to start rebuilding. Now, interesting question to both of you. Nobody's talking about Gambhir in any of this. Does he just get a free pass because he's new? Because I don't recall Shastri and Dravid getting a free pass. Or the rumor is that he's like, listen, I am just dealing with what's been given to me. You give me a free hand, and I will change this lineup, right? So it's
Well,
just interesting.
I
Nobody is
think
talking about Gambhir.
the question is to draw parallels to our world, and I think many of our listeners are live in our world. It's like your first year in a new job, you kind of you're inheriting what you got. You use it as the time to reset the base, as they call. You say, listen, if it's bad, it's not on me, but then I can start from scratch and build back. But I don't
No,
know.
no, we should talk about the test match, which we will, I'm sure, and the like 15 minutes of bad cricket on day one that we had to destroy any chance we had to do. But like maybe we should get into the big question first, right? Like the restructuring of Indian cricket. What is it actually going to look like? Because if we don't make this World Test Championship final, I can't see a long-term future for either Rohit, Kohli, Ashwin, or frankly even Jadeja in this side. I mean, Bumrah is going to be around. We should talk that because who are the replacements? Do these guys play domestic cricket? What is the answer to this? Because like the top four, as Varun said, have done literally almost nothing.
I mean, to your question, Ash is 38, Jadeja's 35. So Jadeja actually may have a little bit longer left in him, but I'm with you. There's no long term left when it comes to Rohit Kohli, Ash, and Jadeja. I think, Varun, to your question, does the road come to an end in January when England? I think England comes to India in January. Does it end then, or does it end at the end of this World Test Championship cycle, summer, whatever
I
next year?
don't think India. I don't think England is coming for tests. I mean, we can
Oh
double
yeah, of
check,
course.
but
I should double check.
because otherwise your equation would change, right, massively.
India
So
has a
I
tour
think
of England this next summer in 2025
after correct
after the
after
World
the
Test Championship
yeah
final, which I mean, the whole
Yeah, you're
point
right.
was
I'm
India would
sorry.
have
No,
played
they're
the
playing. They're
WTC
playing.
final and then played five tests.
You're
But
right. Sorry, five
maybe they'll save
T20s,
themselves.
three ODIs, and then India's next scheduled tests are in June. So you're right after the World Test
exactly.
Championship. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying because you got Champions Trophy. So after come Jan second or third, everything's shifting to ODI, right? Um, but yeah, so I do think to DJ's point, I think you've got the Sundars of the world, you've got Akshar Patel, you've got two guys ready. I think
And
we've
Akshar is younger
already
than Jadeja, right, Ashwin? Just he's a
I,
few years younger, 5, 6 years younger, maybe
I would
20,
yeah,
assume
yeah,
so.
100
30.
percent
Let's
hundred
check his
percent.
age.
Um,
He's 30. Yeah, 5 years younger. And so yeah, Varun, you could replace like for like the Ash and
Yeah.
Jadeja 7 and 8 with Akshar and Sundar, and then
exactly.
Kuldeep is still around as that third spin option.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's like for like. Then I think you got to watch guys like Sai Sudarshan, right, coming up. Easwaran, I think
Unbelievable,
deserves an
man.
opportunity.
Sudarshan in the Australia A
Yeah,
match.
Gill can drop straight to four, which I think is his preferred batting squad. Jaiswal is solid. Um, Gaikwad is there. Uh, Padikkal has done well, but not enough. But what I'm saying is there are guys. The problem is just what's going to happen in January. Everyone's going to forget about this, and then on 15th of June, before the Test series in England, they're going to say, "Oh, do we want to go without Kohli and Rohit to England and play in the conditions there?" And then again, this thing is going to
They're going
Yeah,
to be
but
showing Kohli's six of 28 of 8 needed. They're going to be, I mean, that's the clip we've been watching, and it's been 2 years. It's
yeah, but
great, but yeah.
it is. But I mean, there's two ways this could go, right? Like one, you go down under. Like let's be clear, Rohit may not play the first test in Australia for family reasons, but he will captain in Australia. So I can't see an immediate sacking coming on that front. Although Bishan Singh Bedi, when they kind of last time failed to win a test match like this, was sacked and it ended his career. Uh, he was captain last time this kind of thing happened. Really, uh, if so, there's two ways. One, you win the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and with that, I think you save the captaincy of Rohit and the career of Kohli as a batter. Test. Because we should get into it, but there is real pressure now on Kohli at four to deliver those runs. It's been three test matches and he hasn't done that. But if they lose, then you're basically planning for the next cycle. So that's a 2027 cycle, right? So I actually can't see us carrying both Rohit and Kohli over the summer if we don't make this World Test Championship final. I think.
Let me ask, and we will get into the match, I promise. Varun, let me ask you one more. For people who've listened to us for a while know that I tend to draw parallels with the other sport I watch the most, which is tennis. This year, going to the Olympics, Novak Djokovic had won everything he was possibly to win, except an Olympic gold medal. And you could almost see he left everything out there. He kind of probably didn't deserve to win. He left everything out there, got the win. And now all the questions are like, great, he's still phenomenal as a player, but does he have that motivation left? He's got nothing kind of left to prove, nothing left to win. It's not that's maybe the same parallel, but is there an element post the T20 World Cup win, especially when with 5 overs left, it actually looked like we were going to lose it, and we pulled it out and won. And that moment where Rohit was lying flat on the ground and Kohli and Rohit hugged, is there a moment? And they retired immediately from the format. Is there a moment where they just left it out there and now it's hard to like find that motivation again, especially so soon after?
Yeah, firstly, you talked about Rohit lying on the ground and eating the grass and the mitti. Like he should have been eating the mitti today, right? Because should you should know what
I
it
think
tastes like to
metaphorically
be.
they ate the mitti because
But
New Zealand kicked it in their
I
face.
mean, really?
metaphorically, he probably should have been eating some vegetables to slim down a little bit, man. He
Yeah,
couldn't
I
even bend
mean,
over to hit a sweep.
eating mitti when you win, like you should have been like on the ground today. But and I've totally forgot your question now because I'm just visualizing Rohit and Wankhede.
Mud eating.
Right.
No, but I think the pressure to
Is the
continue.
motivation gone? Like, is it hard
It's like
to?
even Dravid said, right? You got one left to Kohli, right? Because Kohli has
Yeah.
won everything else. I just surprisingly, I do think that this team is better suited to Australian pitches than Indian pitches today, right? It
True.
just it just feels like that. So I'm not. My statement really was not doom and gloom. I was just saying we're not going to win four, but it doesn't mean we can't win and we can't do well. But it is looking like the end of the road because to me, what this milestones of like finals and stuff have done is it's given you opportunities to rebuild, right? It's given players opportunities to assess, do I want to be here? This is what's happening even in the IPL auction that we'll talk about. Like, can you commit to being in the cycle for 3 years and giving it your 100%, and then I will retain you, right? That's what these things do. As a
Yeah.
player, I think, I mean, Kohli is going to believe till the day he dies that he can hit another six of Harris Rauf, right? Like if 80-year-old Kohli is playing against 80-year-old Harris Rauf, he's going to bet on his core strength to do that. But at some point, you just have to walk away.
Yeah, and let's get into the match. But DJ, just last quick stat I'll share, because you mentioned kind of it's been trending downwards, right? It's not that we've been playing phenomenally and then woke up one day and we had a bad series. It wasn't 15 minutes of bad cricket. It's accumulative 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes of bad cricket that keep kind of adding on. But I looked up and Kohli has 29 test centuries. 27 of them came before 2019. Right in the last 5 years, counting 20 where there was limited test cricket, he only played 3 tests then. He scored 2 centuries, both of which came last year. And his average is 48.32. But in 2020, his average was 19. In 21, it was 28. Then it was 26. Then last year, he had a better year, averaged 55. And this year so far, in 10 innings, his average is 27. So you're seeing it, right? If you average 48 over your career and you have averaged in the 20s 3 of the last 4 years, or below 4 of the last 5 years, it's just not there anymore.
Yeah, but it's also a function of he didn't get. So I don't want to make excuses for him, right? Because he's had an awful series, and frankly, his dismissal in the first innings here, I don't think I've seen a worst dismissal from Kohli for a really long time. He missed a bloody full toss in the second test match, and I still think that this is
Mhm.
worse than that. Getting run out in the last 5 minutes of the day. Ridiculous. It's been a function of the pitches he's played on that he's ordered in some cases from 2021 onwards. They've been square turners, and I don't know whether anybody's really done well on those tracks. To be honest, he missed out on the four best batting tracks of this year when he didn't play against England because of family reasons, of course. The problem with all of this is, right, like, so where do you see this changing? Where is Kohli going to go back? And let's get into it then. We should talk about each of them. We should talk about Rohit. I don't no concerns for me from Jaiswal and Gill because they've actually been the saving grace here. But Rohit and Kohli both. Kohli I want to talk about because what is the solution to this? Does he go back to Ranji Trophy cricket and fix the problem against spin? Because there is a problem against spin. He's getting out to spin and getting out to mediocre spinners in some cases. Like a Mitchell Santner and a Ajaz Patel should not be getting one of who's supposed to be one of the better batters in the world out, right? Um, he's not going to go back to domestic cricket. Let's be clear about that. I don't think he has the time or the energy to do that. So if that's going to be the case, you're only committing to play abroad, basically. And so that's where it turns for me. Are you going to score the runs in Australia, which you have? He scored 4 centuries in one tour once. He scored a 100 at Perth once. Are you going to score the runs in England? Yeah, but the home problem doesn't go away. So people that are scoring runs at home should be given a shot there, right? Like, because you can't carry superstars forever. You can't let them. And I'm a big Kohli fan, man. Like, but there is something going on. The way he got run out desperately in the first innings sent a signal to me, which was like there is something not right there.
I
Varun, can I
think
just ask you? I'm not. We're not going to go through this whole match. A, it's too painful. B, we want to talk about the existential questions. But let me just ask you about on day one of a test match when you dismissed New Zealand for 235 ish. Rohit got out. Rohit just is 4 wickets fell to pace. This whole test match, two of them were Rohit to Matt Henry. He can't seem to help himself. But fine. Jaiswal then with I think it was like two ish overs left in the day. I mean, again, I've made this joke before. I'm a terrible cricket player myself, but even I know that when the ball is coming kind of outside your leg stump, it's a great ball for a sweep. Ball bounced, pitched outside his leg stump, and he was reverse sweeping. So an absolutely horrendous premeditated shot. Again, for a guy who's had a decent series, gets bowled. Varun, Mohammad Siraj walks in at two down, and first baller. Not only does he get out LBW, it's hitting the bottom part of the middle stump. And he wastes a review for height. He was like, yes, it hit him above the knee roll, but he was so far forward that his knee was almost at the ground, like his back knee. Anyway, just was that was
it,
was
it
that
was
just
just
telling about our whole side right
so
now?
the whole thing was telling, right? The first thing you mentioned is uh, Jaiswal's reverse sweep. When there's 2 overs left, guys, you just gotta be better, right? Given what has happened in the last 3 weeks, just be better, be more aware. And like another thing is, you know, game awareness. Since I just mentioned the word aware, like Akashdeep in that second innings when Washington Sundar was
On the
batting
other
and
hand,
we
yeah.
had a lead of 30 odd. We needed another 20, which by the way was the difference between the two sides. Akashdeep is turning and going for a double, right? Like zero game awareness. So I think Jaiswal needs to work on that, and Jaiswal I think hasn't realized yet how important he is to this side, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
Because
because he's
from
young,
when,
right? He's like,
yeah,
मैं तो बच्चा हूँ.
yeah. And so from the day he debuted in Feb to today, he is like a tenured top six
I mean,
guy
is he the
in
second
the
name in your
absence.
top six today after Rishabh?
Yeah, yeah, he definitely is.
That's crazy
He's
to think about,
Yeah.
man.
actually the first name for me.
I mean,
In
I
terms
don't
of
think you put him
batting
ahead of
order.
Rishabh. I mean,
Yeah.
on batting order, he's the first name, of course.
Yeah. And the first name is Bumrah, but even Siraj is in the top six nowadays.
Yeah.
But anyway, coming to Siraj, again, it's a mindset thing, right? Like Kohli was standing there, padded up. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
standing there, and Gambhir is like, signals to Kohli. And it wasn't about Chole Kulche or anything. Like, it's not something for Kohli to get excited about. He just signaled to Siraj to go in.
Wait,
And
I
Kohli
missed
is
that. Is
standing.
that pretty clear that that was a Gambhir call and not a Rohit or Kohli call?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
it looked very clear. Look, I
Interesting.
don't want to like blame Gambhir for
Sure,
this,
sure,
but
sure. Yeah.
it looked like a Gambhir
Why? We
call.
want to blame someone.
Yeah, might
We
as
have
well
to
blame.
find some mujrims of this match.
And so Gambhir sent Siraj out, which by the way is a lame decision, but it shows you his mind space. He's like, if Kohli gets out today, we've lost this game, and that's exactly what happened. It's just these moments of chaos. We've lost, I think, 6 runs for an average of 30 runs, like 4 or 5 times this season, and that's the collapse, right? So yeah, I think Siraj was just in disbelief that
Yeah.
he got out, and I don't know. It was just showed me the mindset of the
I
team.
just don't think there's a place for a night
Uh,
watchman number 11 anymore. Like, would have been a different decision to say send Ash up the order or send Jadeja up the order to have, well, I
Or
guess,
Sundar, just send
I've just had a
Sundar.
thought actually.
yeah.
Like, do you think Siraj said, "Yeah, मेरे को bowling नहीं दे रहे, मेरे को batting दे दो"?
Yeah,
You think that's
he's
what
like
happened?
something. Give me
I want to do
something.
something. He did nothing the whole test series.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only logical explanation, right? Like, he's like, "No, I'm going to bat." Like, what? Like, Australia's done away with the night watchman. England have a guy that hits sixes as a night watcher or whatever, the night hawk or whatever they call them. And we are sending Siraj Bhai, who's not only getting out on the first ball but eating a review
Yeah,
alongside that.
what frustrates me is you only have two guys in this team who can't really bat. You could have sent anybody from 5 through 9 ahead of Kohli if your goal was to protect Kohli and just change your batting order a little. But you chose to send a number 10, and of course you got to anyway. DJ, last thought on that, on this passage of play. You and I talked a lot
Oh.
about how Virat and Pant in the second test, the ball goes behind Virat, Pant at the non-strikers, and it is Pant's call. Virat set off, Pant didn't send him back, and there's a little bit of who's going to send Virat back when he calls for a single and all that. Fine, Pant got run out, not great. This time ball goes to mid on, right? Virat hits the ball to mid on early. I think it was his fourth ball or something, and and he
He
sets off
just hit a full toss
for
for, so he'd
four.
got the
Yeah,
danger ball had been dealt with. He'd
yeah,
actually hit it to the fielder. The
yeah.
fielder dove over it. I think O'Rourke. It was hit and fielder dove over it. So Kohli was like, "Yeah, I've dealt with the danger ball." Man, the next ball I think is one of the lowest points
So he
that
hits it
I've
to
watched Kohli
mid
do.
on and sets off for a single. It's nobody to blame except him. It's all you're trying to do is get through. I mean, if you're not trying to just get through to the close of play, you wouldn't have sent Siraj, right? You can't have both ways. If your goal is not just to try to get to the end of day one, you wouldn't have sent Siraj. And so it's like, is Kohli just, is this in his head? Is it a little bit of, I want to say it's a little bit of, I think I'm still as fit as I was when I was 25. I can take him on, but I don't think he was slow. I don't think he's slowed down in terms of speed. I don't think 5 years ago Kohli would have made that. It was just an objectively bad call, and you don't
It's
take
a
on a,
non-existent run.
yeah,
It's because of the pressure. It's all the stuff that's gone on before Siraj going in. Then he has to anyway go in the next ball. It's just stuff, and he's dealt with that long hop or full toss. I think Ravindra was bowling. Ravindra bowled him a full toss. He hit it through mid wicket, and then yes, he's fit, but that's not a run that one of the you can't see Steve Smith or I don't know Kane Williamson or Babar Azam's drop, or you can't see, or maybe it's a Babar Azam type of move.
yeah,
The like your team is completely on top. You're one of the best batters in the world. You need to score first innings runs because that is where that test match had to be won. You've lost 2 wickets in the last 5 minutes. It's a bonkers run to try and take. It's just who am I to tell Kohli about running between the wickets? But you're involved in two runouts in the last two games. Like you, something scrambled there. Like what are you trying to do? It's not like you're trying to like change the field or get an advantage, bring the field in. You're not trying to rotate the strike. You're not trying to do any of those things. You're just trying to get through to the end of day's play. And
yeah,
either that's a leg stump half volley and you flick it through mid wicket for four, which is Kohli of old would have probably done that, or you just block it and you say no. Like yes, it was a magnificent piece of fielding. Let's get not get that right. Like Matt Henry picked it up one, but
yeah,
what a bonus wicket!
yeah.
It's not like he's batting with the tail. Shubman Gill is at the other end, right? Like it's
Who I and I
nonsensical.
saw that again. He hesitated before taking the run. Like he took a step, paused,
Shubman,
and then yeah. And when he saw Kohli go, he said, "Okay, it's your
yeah.
call,
It's
man.
your
It's
call,
not."
right? Ball's behind me. It's so frustrating.
And it's one of the worst. I've seen Kohli get run out before. We've seen Kohli and Rohit get run out before, ending up at the same end. We've seen Kohli at Adelaide get run out by Rahane, not Kohli's fault. We've seen him run Rishabh Pant out the last. Those are all kind of, you get it. This was this. It's just a lack of match away. It's what you've said. It's a lack of, but it's not, can't be a lack of match awareness. He's played like 500 games. Like it's a brain fade in that moment, and it's that constant brain fade that you're not going to win test matches if you're giving away top four wickets like that. It was a shocking way to lose a test match wicket, let alone one of the wickets that you think is going to like give you first innings runs. I mean, that was a low point for me as a Kohli fan. If the Haris Rao
Yeah.
six that we've talked about is a high point, man, like this was a real low point. It and his dive, it wasn't the full dive. I feel like he dived, but he didn't like
He dived
extend.
late. It dived when he
Mm.
He didn't
realized that.
expect this guy to pick
Yeah,
it up and fling it
I
and hit
mean,
the
but
stumps.
this is New Zealand, right? Have you like
Just
seen,
don't do it.
barring like 1 hour yesterday, their fielding has been top notch.
But that's the whole point. You know what? You lost the test series 2-0. You won the test series 2-0. It would have been okay for them to switch off. I cannot see in England or Australia playing a third test match with this intensity. Ajaz Patel, a gentle guy, is giving people a send off. They're flinging themselves. This test match hurts more because it was not like New Zealand took their foot off the gas, right? It hurts more because India tried and could not beat New Zealand playing at their best.
Yeah.
And
New Zealand didn't say, we're going to say we're 2-0 up. Let's
Let's
chill.
try
Let's
some
have a
new
party.
guys, like
yeah.
rotate in the squad and this.
Yeah,
Nothing.
but
There's
we
no.
rested Bumrah, right? So we should talk about this. Why we rested Bumrah?
I
All right.
mean, I don't have an issue with that. Okay, just my gut feel, just
But
my
he's played
point of
3-day
view.
test matches.
I
He's
know,
not tired.
but he has no role to play in
Yeah,
these
in a
games.
match where 36 of the 40 wickets went to spin, and the two
I
of the
feel
quick
like
ones were Rohit giving free wickets to Matt Henry. Let's be clear. I'm not
So
sure
then
Bumrah would have been the difference.
then play 8 batters and 3 spinners. So क्या
yeah,
है? So team combination
correct.
ऐसे करो फिर.
Yeah, that I agree with. I agree with going with one pacer. Um, but I think you're right about the New Zealand thing. I just want to say also credit to them. Every game they had somebody different who stood up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every game. And they were like fighting for their life here. Like, and it was not for a World Test Championship spot. They just had a point to prove. I think they realized we're making an inroad. And just, probably last point is when we were thinking about the target, I remember messaging people saying 200 is a loss, 150 is 50-50, and I think 120 is ours. That's literally what I said. And it came down to that 50-50, but it's going to be hard. It's just, I can't even imagine if we were chasing 150 on day 5, what would have
Yeah.
happened. This is
Yeah.
day 3. It was unacceptable.
150 being 50-50 changes drastically when you get to 29 for 5. DJ, I'm going to take a to a very quick break. We will come back, finish talking about this and the future of Team India, and then Varun, energy permitting, we'll have you talk a little bit about IPL retentions. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this break. Welcome back to the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. This is a tough episode to record, but I'm glad we're all here. If you're on YouTube with us, leave us a comment. We're reading the live chat, but we're also, going to read comments later. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, so we can keep making more depressing episodes like this. Varun, you talked about the chase. Let me first ask you, and honestly, I don't have too much I want to say about the fact that we got to 29 for 5. I don't want to get into specifics too much. Rishabh recovered us potentially. We talked about this a little. Let me just look at the total match then. Gill, 90 in the first innings. Yeah, shouldered his arms to a ball that just went out straight onto the stumps is not great. But in the context of a low scoring match, Gill, Jaiswal looked decent in the first innings before playing a bad shot. And then Rishabh Pant, 250s. No major complaints about these guys, right? A little bit more on what you want them to be doing. And yes, 90s should become hundreds, and yes, for Rishabh, 60s should become 80s and 90s. But overall, not complaining too much, right?
No, you're not, because then you're saying I have to change my whole lineup, right? Like I said, Jaiswal has the potential, just needs to be a little more aware. Like, I don't think our top order should be giving wickets to Glenn Phillips, right?
Yep.
Just nothing against Glenn Phillips, but I don't think we should. By the way, did you guys see him field? Like, he like runs across the turf as if like he makes Jadeja look slow. Anyway, but Gill, I was a little shocked by in that second innings. That was just totally unexpected to me. That changed the momentum. Like when your premier prince batsman has misread this, it to me that was shocking. But man, Rishabh Pant, like I got a message saying "Hira hai bhai Hira," like he's a diamond, and that's just what it is. Like this format is built for Rishabh Pant, and Rishabh Pant is built for this format. Um, it is just a story that we want to watch, but in the past I was questioning why is he at 5. I get it. He's so important now that you don't want him to be batting with the tail. You don't want him to be farming strike. I think if you ask my honest opinion, the Aussies are basically going to have 90% of their plan to deal with Rishabh Pant
Yeah.
and 10% to deal with Jaiswal. If they get these two plans sorted, this series is done.
DJ, very important question. Do we still get to call him Prince, given that he is allegedly no longer dating Sachin's daughter? Does that make him not the prince of Indian cricket anymore?
I'm not going to get into that. But
I'm trying
with
to change the topic
if
of
the king
conversation.
is changing and the dynasty is ending, I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe he is the new king, King Gill. I don't
A
know,
little
man.
little
Like
bit early
this
for that.
is no. I mean, he
Yeah.
played a knock of 90. Yeah, it would have been better to be 100, but man, that was worth like a lot. You were 86 for four. You were staring another. You're looking at another 150 all out at in that scenario, and to play that knock against that attack in those conditions, that's worth like 150 on a placid batting track. It was. I thought he was excellent. I thought that knock again, another coming of age knock. I felt, and he must be 24 now, but he's. I think between him and Jaiswal, I keep ping ponging every week. I think this guy's going to be the future captain. They're 23 and 24 or
Mhm.
something like that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he just turned 25. Yeah.
yeah, I thought he played a great knock, but you've got to look to the future, and he is going to be that number four spot soon. He is going to relish batting on those Australian tracks. We can never forget that whatever 91 he got at the Gabba, right? That set us up. Yes, we remember the Rishabh Pant innings, but
Yeah.
that was what actually made us believe originally. So this series, the Border Gavaskar Trophy, which is starting in a few weeks, right?
Yeah.
So
3 weeks.
which is good. I think this is going to be the transition. The transition has started now. Let's be very clear about the transition starting. This is us having to think beyond Rohit Kohli, and I think Ashwin and Jadeja, to my mind, and they've been great servants of Indian cricket. Ashwin, after you mentioned, I read the Sid Monga article about the generation that set up that incredible 18 series streak, and he says as well at the end, we've got to get ready for this transition, and it's coming. But I think Gill needs to move on, to answer your original question, move on from being the prince to actually being the king. So this Australia series, where you saw Kohli transition from Dhoni's understudy into four hundreds in four test matches, those Adelaide knocks, all of that, he came of age in Oz, and now it's time for Shuman Gill. I think this is the Jaiswal and Gill show that we're going to see in the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and I'm excited about it. I'm sad because Rohit and Kohli are obviously our guys in a way. 2018, Ashwin, is when we started this podcast, and 2018 was a year that Kohli averaged 55 in Test cricket. He scored 1,300 plus runs. 22 of those Test matches were outside India, Australia, South Africa, and England. So but with all good things, I think you've got to plan for the future. So they will come to an end, and I think he needs to transition from being the prince to the king soon.
Yeah, I mean, listen, nothing else to add there except Varun. DJ mentioned we're starting in 3 weeks in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Did you realize we're in between that? We are touring South Africa for some T20s. I didn't realize that till earlier
I
today.
mean, I saw the ads on TV while watching the match. Yeah, it's a bit
It's
surprising. It
crazy. For I
doesn't
mean, it's a
Is
seem
it a
to.
totally
completely
different squad, though?
yeah.
Yeah,
Sky, Tilak,
100%.
Hardik, Akshar, Sanju, Jitesh, Varun Chakravarti, Arshdeep, like a completely different squad.
So
I
Akshar
think
is just
only
collecting
Akshar.
points,
Yeah,
air
And Akshar
miles.
is the only one who is doing. Yeah, correct. I think Akshar is the only guy who's flying. But also, he's not probably going to play the first test, right? So
yeah.
that's the other
For,
thing. But yeah, look, it'll be fun. It'll be the kind of action that we've been used to for this year, and I think yeah, Sky and team will make us forget this quickly.
let's
I
hope
think.
so. Varun,
Will
let me
we forget
quickly.
this quickly? I
I
can't
mean,
forget
we
this quickly.
have
This
to,
this
right?
is hurt,
Because
man.
We just move on, man. It's how it goes. I mean, even I
Yeah.
said this because after 2-0, I was still like, okay, cool. So 2-1 will be a good,
Two
will be a
one,
good,
yeah,
good finish.
0-3.
Yeah.
Like that's it's unbelievable. It's never happened before. It's
Yeah.
unprecedented.
Varun, by the way, the guy who tormented us, I realized, Ajaz Patel in 2021 in the 1K day, has only played, I think, 7 tests since then. What they played him once in Lords, he got no wickets, and then after that, he is exclusively playing in the subcontinent. Two,
yeah,
two Pakistan, 3 Bangladesh, and 2 Sri Lanka, I think, is what he's played. And
I
then
mean,
he
I think you
comes
should just move here and just practice here. What's the point of practicing in New Zealand?
honestly.
He was born in Bombay. Do you know that? Or
Yeah.
Mumbai?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Insane.
All right, DJ talked a lot about Gill. Varun, let me ask you. I know DJ is a big fan, so let me ask you. Washington Sundar, probably one of the silver linings or good outcomes of the series, right? Good with the ball, picked up 4 wickets in the first innings. Great with the bat in instances he got to play. I think we have to figure out his role with the bat a little more. But another one of the crop that is 24, 25 years old. and fairly experienced for being that age. Do you think he's sort of cemented his spot in a post Ashwin Jadeja world at least?
I think so. I think the thing is he's just been missing for so long. Like I was watching this with somebody and they're like, "Who's Washington Sundar?" Right? And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah." I said, "What do you mean he played in the Gamma test?" And they're like, "Oh, that
Were
was
you
four
watching this
years."
with your daughter who's 2 years old?
No, no. I think she knows who Sundar is.
Is it time for
But
you to get her a dog named Gabba?
yeah, that would be fun.
That'd be great.
Or Wankede. Yeah. Anyway, but I think the thing is, like, I just have a lot of faith in Washington Sundar. I don't know why, I can't explain it, but like, I knew that if he's batting, we will get a lead of 50, right? I had a feeling that he will close the gap more narrowly in the second innings than what ended up happening, but he was under too much pressure.
Hmm.
And so, my prediction is he's going to play ahead of Ashwin in Australia. Okay, and that's contentious because I went back and checked, and Ashwin played all the games in the last Australia Test series.
Except for
But
the last one because he was
yeah,
injured. He was back.
injury, yeah. But my gut feel is that he's going to play ahead of Ashwin, especially in the first two games. And I think we just got to figure out his batting order. By default, by being the junior most, I think he has to come after Jadeja. But I am all for mixing things up and sending him at, a 4 or 5 if needed. But I just have a lot of faith in the guy. I think he is part of the future of this team.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think really well said. DJ, the last one I have to talk about before we wrap up this painful experience. But we talked a lot about Rohit and Kohli. We've talked a little about the future. We talked about these guys. There's one spot in that lower to middle order that you and I talked a lot about KL Rahul. And then we talked about Sarfaraz. And
Can't even blame him. He hasn't played the last two test
no, this
matches.
is what I'm saying. So we wanted Sarfaraz in. And then man, I think the pitch was acting out a little bit, but then he hit a sweep off of a full toss straight down the throat of the fielder. And I think I texted Varun because
That was
this was
that was the game for him. He was done.
yeah. I texted Varun saying, "Well, you can't even blame the pitch when you don't let the ball bounce and you get out to an easy full toss." I mean, I think he made 0 and 1 in this test. You don't ever want to judge a player off of one, but it just shows. It showed a absolute lack of decision making skill. It just seemed to show that I guess we in a post Pujara world, it seemed to show we have too many guys. Whether you count Jaiswal, Pant, Sarfaraz, too many guys who are like, well, I have license to go because somebody else will consolidate. And when everybody's like that, you become England, and you'll win some phenomenal matches, but you will lose
Yeah.
some absolute shockers too.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm just going to rewind to the start of the series where the KL Rahul this debate was ongoing, and I said, "Listen, I think KL will play the first Test match, but if you were to replace KL, I would have gone with Dhruv Jurel." And the reason I'd said that was technically Dhruv Jurel just looks like a more organized, more compact, better temperamentally. After that knock he played against England with the series in balance, played a magnificent innings of 90. He just looks like a great player of spin and someone who can play extreme pace as well. He looks organized, right? Of course, we when we dropped KL, we went to Sarfaraz. He scored 150. Now, after a guy scores 150, what are you going to do? But the problem with that is it's the lack of consistency, right? So you're yo-yoing, and I say that without any like uh, I don't mean anything by the reference to yo-yo, but you're oscillating between being sublime and being ridiculous. And today he was absolutely ridiculous. He came out with it. You say lack of decision making. I don't think so. I think he made the decision. I'm going to sweep every ball. He got a full toss first ball, swept it. He would have smacked it anywhere for
I
four.
guess I
He got
meant lack
one.
of good decision making is the
Good decision.
important
It was bad decision
clarification.
making. There was definitely bad decision making because they come out thinking we have to sweep. And he's hit the first one for one, and then the next one he smokes down deep mid wicket. Throw it. You're just like, what? They just it was a really poor shot. And again, he played a great knock. He got 150 in that first test match after being 46 all out. Because and he played that because Gill was injured. But my question should Jurel have actually played instead of Sarfaraz once Gill is back and KL has been dropped? And It's hard to drop someone after one test match of not performing, which he did in the second one. But after watching the ways he's got out in the last three innings or four innings, I mean, even the second test first innings, he just lobbed one to mid off. Is that what you want to see from your middle order, or would you rather have someone more organized, temperamentally better? Yes, Jurel is a wicket keeper, but he doesn't have to keep, right? It doesn't mean that Rishabh Pant's spot is under um scrutiny, but a 5-6 should be solid, should be able to play both games. And I think Sarfaraz has got like basically one gear, which is overdrive.
Yeah.
So
Varun, does KL Rahul play in Australia?
Yeah, so I was just going to say let's just wrap up very quickly. The two contentious picks for me are KL Rahul and Sundar will play the first test in Australia. Those are my two picks.
But no change to Rohit, Kohli, Jaiswal, Gill.
No, no. I mean Rohit, if he's not there, that's a different story.
Sure,
But
sure, sure. Yeah, okay.
yeah, but no change.
why
So
aren't you
I'm
liking Jurel for six though? I'm a
dude. I
big
think
Jurel fan.
no,
I
no, no.
really liked
I
his
think we
temperament.
do. I think we do. I am also with you. And again, I was telling somebody today that I hope he can play as a pure batter. But the feedback I'm getting is it's just early. He will. It's just early. That's the thing.
But
So,
KL averages like 20 or something in Australia, so he's
Yeah,
had
he
his
does.
shot. But
but
anyway,
again, we said middle order. So I'm saying KL and Sundar are going to play in the
mm,
first test because I think they need that, and I think we're only going to bat till 8. That's the reality. We cannot bat till
Yeah.
9 unless we play Akshar Patel or Nitish Kumar Reddy. And I don't think India is going to do that in at least in the first couple of
And the
games.
first
So
test's the Wacker, right?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's the new
Oh,
Optus
the new
Stadium.
Perth ground. Sorry. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
so I
Anyway,
wonder. So if so, sorry, just staying with that thought. If KL plays and Rohit doesn't play, does KL open the batting? Ishwaran
no,
opens the batting. So we're okay with putting a guy who's never played Test cricket in front of the new ball at the Perth Stadium. I actually think if Rohit doesn't play, I suspect KL Rahul will be shunted up the order
yeah.
as he's done before,
uh,
and someone like Jurel will actually bat six. So
Man, the thing
I don't
with
know.
Jurel is I don't disagree with you at all, but that's all true for India. Like to like play him first in India, cement his spot, and then take him overseas. It just seems crazy to not make the 11 in India and say, yeah, but now you're good enough to
yeah.
make the 11 Australia. That's the frustration.
It's the same as Ishwaran. It's the same
But it's
thing.
the same as KL. You're not good enough to play the last two Test matches against New Zealand, but we'll play in Australia. Like,
It
where's
it's
the
just
logic there?
because Sarfaraz hit the 150. I think that's it. And I do think Sarfaraz can get more runs in India. I just I'm trying to justify, but I just don't think
Yeah.
Jurel is part of the playing 11 plan today.
It's a tough day actually to be having this
Yeah, it's
conversation.
a
I think
very
we're all
difficult day to
pretty
be having this
charged and
conversation.
emotional about it. Anyway,
All right.
we'll
Well, on that happy note, there's not a lot else to say. We've gone way over what I thought we would. Varun, IPL retentions also happened this week. In any other week, this would have been a full episode for the Edges of this latest cricket podcast. We would have spent all the time talking about it. MS Dhoni is uncapped officially in the system. Do you want to very quickly do a rundown of some of the highlights and lowlights of the IPL retentions for us?
Yeah, so it's absolutely no surprise that the three most useless teams in the history of IPL have got the highest purse going into this strategy. The
Every 2 years,
three,
Punjab says, now we're going to rebuild. Now
I
we're
mean, so Punjab has 110.5 crores. I'm sure 50 of those are going to go to Sam Curran, but everything else they've still got, right? So Punjab has 110 crores. Bangalore, the other stalwart team, has 83. And then the last mega team, Delhi Capitals, has 73 crores. There is a lot of money that is going to be spent on absolutely useless decisions in in December. If I'm trying to sum it up, it's almost close to 250 crore that is going to be
uh,
thrown
just
down the drain.
but
okay.
interesting that Kishan hasn't been retained, right?
I
Yeah. So
mean,
now, on a more serious note, I think let me come to this. There's a couple of names that are interesting, right? Pant is not for Delhi Capitals. We heard that he wanted captaincy, and apparently they're doing some rotation policy, like it's a grad intern program or something at Delhi
Or a
Capitals, where
or a kindergarten program. Like
wasn't
yeah,
that
everybody
what
today, you're captain. Today's Tuesday. Aaj aap captain ho.
no,
wasn't that
this
what
is
KKR did? That shit, the four
no.
captains
This
and
is not rotation policy of captain. This is Parth Jindal will manage the team for 2 years, and GMR will manage the team for 2 years, which is why you're seeing like Venugopal Rao as the key
uh,
figure of the Delhi Capitals. Like just again, just brilliant. Um, so Ponting has left Delhi Capitals. Shreyas Iyer has left KKR. Again, wanted number one slot, wanted the money, didn't think of the kind of team dynamics. And then the third one is KL Rahul has left Lucknow, where the owner came out and said, we wanted people with a winning mindset, not
That
personal
was really
milestone.
bad.
Yeah,
So,
that was a weird dig, man.
yeah.
Honestly.
So you've got these are the three big names. I expect these three. I mean, I think Rishabh Pant is going to go for the highest. Now, there have
Man, on
been,
Shreyas, really quick, we forget that he just literally just lifted the trophy for them. I mean, that's going to be
and
some
so
sort of record, right? In any sport anywhere in the world, the captain getting dropped after winning a trophy.
I mean, I think the reality is how much did he do between Gambhir being there and then them having this team? How much did Shreyas Iyer
I
actually
mean,
do
today I feel like he had to offset the negative of Gambhir as a coach. And
today?
then
But
today it's feeling like Gambhir was
I
a drag. But anyway,
I just think Sunil Narayan
yeah.
needs Indian citizenship for Gambhir to thrive as a coach. But I think Shreyas is I I don't think I'm not feeling bad for Shreyas because I think a lot of teams have talked to their players and done what is in the best interest of the team. That means Hardik and Sky and are getting paid the same and less than Bumrah, for example, right? So for Shreyas to not realize the value of the team and to be asking for that much is in my opinion uh, tough. And the KKR, I think CEO or chief operations officer actually came out and said he was number one on our list, but we have to think of multiple different factors. So yeah, I don't know, Ashwin, if you think we should need to run through it all. We can
No,
probably leave that,
we
but
can do that next week. I think for
yeah.
me, Shreyas becomes a captain somewhere. The question is, do either Lucknow or Delhi go really big behind him to beat or Punjab to become leader?
And
Yeah,
who gets
so
Kishan because his ear will burst?
That was your
that
favorite
was
part of the week, wasn't it?
I mean, in a week where all these dramas have happened, I mean, at least you got some comedy value out of Ishan Kishan behind the stumps in Australia. So, guys, if you haven't seen that, go and check out our Twitter at One Tip One Hand because it's pretty funny, that whole stump mic episode.
All right. I
the
think
big news though, just last point on this, the big news is that apparently CSK want Rishabh Pant. And it is such a beautiful plan, right, to take over from MS Dhoni. I can tell you that I think CSK want Rishabh Pant. I think Rishabh Pant wants CSK. But unfortunately, Punjab has 110 crores, as I mentioned. So, Rishabh Pant, beware. You are probably going to end up at Punjab Kings 11 or Punjab Super Kings or whatever the hell they're called. Uh,
Rising Punjab Supergiant.
Punjab Super Giants. You're probably going to end up there, Rishabh Pant. So just be careful. But I think there's an outside chance CSK get him. I think Punjab and Bangalore are just going to kill CSK over this decision. But anyway, let's see that as it comes.
And
Preeti
but
and Punt can be like a comedy show at Punjab.
Varun, do you remember the right to match rules? Because they've changed now, right? Because theoretically, Pant can end up back at Delhi, Shreyas back at KKR, I think, with right to match cards. I think the
I
players
think
are betting that they get bid up a high amount and that the franchises need to right match them with more, essentially.
so. Like in things like in a situation where I'll give you an example with Conway, right, or Will Jacks, or Jake Frazier. I think these are the prime right to match situations, right?
Hmm.
I don't remember the rule, but in a situation like Shreyas or Pant, these have been active conversations. They have left because of a problem or a clash in thinking. And so my gut feel is these guys are not going to get an RTM. Even if they go lower than what they thought, they're not getting an RTM. The RTM is for guys, I think, who can make a difference. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if KKR uses an RTM for Phil Salt, right? Out of the
Yeah.
blue, but he's done well. Those are the kind of things that I think will happen, not a Pant and Shreyas.
I can see a CSK using an RTM for Cheteshwar Pujara.
He put up a video, a training video.
Oh, today!
No, just 2 days back or something, saying
I'm
sore
ready.
today,
I'm
sore
ready.
today. So he did typical Pujara style, like an uncle. He put up a video that said sore today, strong tomorrow. And before the video started, he put on his Apple Watch to track his workout, and then he went off. You gotta love the guy.
No,
But
but that's good timing for Border Gavaskar, man. We didn't actually talk
He is the
whether the
one
poo
we
in
miss
Purane
the
can come back.
most, right? I'm not.
just tire out Cummins, Stark, and Hazelwood. I mean, those guys, they
Arey,
probably
dude,
can't sleep at night thinking of Pujara.
We
So,
talked. You talk about Gill's 90, you talk about Rishabh's innings, and ultimately Pujara was the difference maker. I think in those two series wins
shit, yeah.
down under, right? We just don't have that anymore. Dravid, Pujara, and now there's that void in the ability of a player. I mean, I don't know how we come
There
back
were
to Test cricket. We were
yeah,
talking
there were
about how
those
clear.
great memes, right? Where you had that like that monk smoking one kid who was a smoking kid and one was a monk kid, and the monk kid is obviously Pujara and Pant was the smoking kid. Man, it was amazing. Yeah,
But those may be
who's
some of my
the
favorite
wall?
partnerships. Was Pujara and Pant together? Those
Yeah,
guys batting. It
Panchara.
he
was
couldn't even hug him because there were bruises all over. He's just like, Pant is awkwardly like, bye, well done.
Panchara, man.
Panchara. On that happy
So,
note,
so do we think he's coming back though for BGT specialist?
no.
Not maybe if the whole team gets all 18 players get injured,
If
then
people get
Pujara
injured and we go
and
down two
Natarajan.
zero by huge margins or something, maybe he gets on a plane.
Yeah.
On
Right.
that happy note.
On that happy note, for the fifth time, I'm going to try to wrap us up. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. We love bringing you episodes. It's more fun when the highs are high, but it's important that we're here when the lows are low. Hopefully, India bounces back, wins in Australia, delivers a good result. We are at One Tip, One Hand. That's the number one TIP, number one hand on all the social medias. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you hear about every new episode we release. This has been the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
I think Varun is still uploading.
Mine is done.
Yep. Good one, guys.
See you
Nice. All
guys.
done. Chalo, see you.
Okay.
Bye.